Welcome to Nick's Book Corner from the Odiak Slough in Cordova, Alaska. You know, I like to read. I'm not very good at it. Well, I'm not bad at it, but I don't read very quickly. And if you go into a bookstore or a library, there are so many books that you could possibly choose. How do you choose? One source for finding interesting authors is the New York Times Obituaries. When I was growing up, these were referred to as the Irish sports pages. Who knows? There's all kinds of interesting people who die, and sometimes they write great books. Today I want to talk about Lyall Watson. When Lyall passed away, the New York Times said he was an adventurer and explorer along the soft edges of science. Now, if that isn't an intriguing introduction, I don't know what is. Mr. Watson was popular in the early 70s with a book called Supernature, where he was talking about unexplained phenomena and kind of new agey out of the 60s. He was a little bit out there for the time. Mr. Watson is sometimes tagged with popularizing the 100th monkey effect. It seems there were these French researchers on a Polynesian island, and when they were bringing their stores ashore, they would sometimes drop some fruit into the sand, and the monkeys would come in after they left and pick up the fruit and eat it. Except the monkeys weren't really happy because the fruit was covered with sand. And then one of the monkeys found his fruit in the tidal area in the surf and got it out, and he realized that the surf had washed the sand off. And the fruit was really good. So he went and he taught another monkey to take his fruit down to the water's edge and rinse it off, clean the fruit, and it tasted good. And soon this started spreading, and when it reached a critical mass called the 100th monkey, although the number is irrelevant, all of a sudden this knowledge became widely known, even on other islands. It's sort of like the internet. What causes a video to go viral? No one really knows, but all of a sudden videos are really popular, and everybody's heard of them. Same thing. So after reading his obituary in the New York Times, I went to my local library where they had a couple of books by Mr. Watson. The first one I read was called Elephantums, Tracking the Elephant. It was a wonderful book. It had some of his crazy theories in it, but it had a very good story. And one thing is, Mr. Watson is a very good storyteller. And so I was very much encouraged by reading this book, Elephantums. So when I returned back to the library, they had another book called Dark Nature, A Natural History of Evil. Now this book tried to explain evil in many different terms. And there was no story associated with this, and it got very ponderous. So I don't recommend that one. And anytime you see a book by Lyall Watson, I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a shot. Well, this book, Gifts of Unknown Things, is a wonderful story. He has a great story to tell. He has room for his theories, and it's very, very good. It's a wonderful read. So I actually ordered one from an online bookstore called The Nature of Things, The Secret Life of Inanimate Objects. I must say that I bought this one strictly for the title because it sounds great. This one was not so strong a story and became ponderous again. So right now I'm batting about 50-50 with Mr. Watson's books. So I'm recommending The Gifts of Unknown Things, or Elephantum. And even though his other books were ponderous, and you have to stop and think about what he says during them to see if you agree or not, or where is the fallacy you find in his logic, they still are interesting. They're just not as good a read as some of the other ones where he has a story to tell. He's an excellent storyteller. So if you're looking for something to read this year, this winter when the nights start getting dark, you might give Lyall Watson a try. From the Odiak Slough in Cordova, Alaska, this has been Nick's Book Corner.